the thousands. A single meaningful word, if it brings tranquility to the listener, is better than 1,000 meaningless words. A single line of verse, if it brings tranquility to the listener, is better than 1,000 verses devoid of sense. Better than reciting 100 meaningless verses is the reciting of one verse of the law, hearing which one attains peace. Though one may conquer 1,000 times 1,000 men in battle, yet he indeed is the noblest victor who conquers himself. Better to conquer oneself than to conquer others. The man who has mastered himself, who lives in restraint, not even a god, a Gandharva, nor Mara with Brahma himself could turn such a victory into defeat. Though month after month, for 100 years, one should offer sacrifices by the thousands, yet if only for a moment one should pay homage to a sage in meditation, that worship is indeed better than a century of sacrifice. Though for 100 years one should tend the sacrificial fire in the forest, yet if only for a moment one should pay homage to a sage in meditation, that worship is indeed better than a century of sacrifice. Whatever offerings or sacrifices one might make in this world for an entire year, they do not amount to a quarter of the merit gained from paying respect to the contemplative ones. In one who is always full of respect and consideration for the elderly, 4 things increase: lifespan, physical beauty, happiness, and strength. 100 years spent in misconduct and dissipation is not worth a single day devoted to meditation and good practice. 100 years spent in ignorance and dissipation is not worth a single day devoted to science and meditation. 100 years spent in idleness and lack of energy is not worth a single day lived with vigor and energy. Better it is to live one day seeing the rise and fall of things than to live 100 years without ever seeing the rise and fall of things. Better it is to live one day seeing the path to liberation from death than to live 100 years without ever seeing this path. Better it is to live one day seeing the supreme law than to live 100 years without ever seeing the supreme law.